Okay,
Yes.
so we'll get started. We'll get started.
Yes.
Okay, so welcome everybody to this first of a series of programs that we'll be doing throughout the year. Once a month is the idea. And we'll be doing it in such a way that the timings will be suiting two different zones. One is who all of you are on now, and the other is more for Australia, New Zealand, Fiji, Hong Kong, um, and that area. That's part of the world, so that their time zone is such that it's very inconvenient for them to join at this time, which is somewhat convenient for all of us here, probably a little inconvenient for some of us too, but not that inconvenient. So I'm going to start with an invocation and then we'll describe this program. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishthaya Bhutale Srimate Tamal Krishna Goswami Namine. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namine. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschati Deshatarine. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Shiva Sadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jai, Srila Gurudev ki Jai, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Shri Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki Jai. So we decided to do this program because what we wanted to do was bring the disciples together every so often. And because this is the 80th year of Srila Gurudev's appearance, we decided to name this program the 80th Jubilee Celebration. And at the same time, allow us all to participate in a way where we can all speak on these calls, and at the same time have two major speakers, one speaker from Srila Gurudev's God brothers and God sister family, and the other from, of course, those of us who are disciples and well-wishers of and well-wishers of the disciples and Srila Gurudev as the second group. So one from each group speaker, and then there'll be question and answers based on what they say, and also interactions between us, and also at the same time announce any major programs that will be happening from time to time so that people know about it and you can join, and also recognize those who might be having their birthdays, etc., or some anniversaries that we can say thank you very much to you and recognize that. So this is the program, and for this first one, we decided that the theme should be Harinam Sankirtan, because that was most dear to Srila Gurudev and most dear to Srila Prabhupada, and actually the ultimate purpose of our movement. So that to stay centered, this was the theme that was chosen, Harinam Sankirtan. And also, the sequence of the program will be after the welcome and the invocation prayers and explaining the purposes. There will be a short class given by Srila Gurudev, an audio clip of about 15 minutes or so, saying something that is obviously part of this program in terms of its theme, and also sets the tone as well for all of us. And then we'll introduce the first speaker, and the first speaker will be introduced by me, and then the speaker will speak, and then we'll have question and answers. I may ask some questions in terms of interview questions. And then Mother Rati Manjari Prabhu will introduce the second speaker and do the same process. The speaker will speak, question and answers, and maybe some interview questions. And then, of course, all of us will have an opportunity to chime in if you want to chime in about something. And finally, announcements.
Guys, like that.
Bhaja Govinda Prabhu, you might mute, please. Thank you. And thank you, Bhaja Govinda Prabhu, for joining us. I mean, because I know this is a very inconvenient time for you to join. He's from Australia, by the way, one of our leaders in our movement. And then there'll be some announcements, like, for example, the Festival of Fiji is coming up. Other programs are coming up this Friday. There is a program in Dallas at 1 o'clock Dallas time. We're trying to organize a Zoom session so that people can join from around the world, and of course we'll put the message out. And similarly like that, there'll be other programs, and we can mention those. And finally end up by mentioning any birthdays or other anniversaries like disappearance, etc. And thank everybody for participating. That's pretty much the timeline, the program sequence that we'll be doing. So today we're going to start. Let's see if Chaitanya Chandra Prabhu has been able to unmute. I saw him just now where he was. I think I don't see him on my screen.
Let us
Okay.
otherwise change.
Okay, so we're going to start. Yeah, we're going to start with Mother Indra Nilamani and Mother Rati Manjari Prabhu. You can take over, please. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Yeah. Yes. Nityananda Prabhu, would you do the bio of Mother Indra Nilamani?
Yes, certainly we'll do that. So, okay.
But
here's her bio, and I'll read that.
Nityananda Prabhu, isn't there now first the interview, or is it first the audio clip?
Oh yes, the first audio clip. We forgot about that. Thank you very much.
Devotees, please forgive us. We are just putting this together. This is like the baby first TKG80 Jubilee event, and we're trying to keep everything together. Please bless us, forgive us any technical hiccups or old age oversights. We want to start with from Srila Gurudev first.
Madanani Prabhu, can you please put the audio on?
Yeah, we have a nice clip and with some photos and audio by Srila Gurudev, which is put together by Ananya Mataji. So please, let's hear from Gurudev first.
Prabhupada comments that our International Society for Krishna Consciousness is one of the branches of the Chaitanya tree. From each branch grew many hundreds of sub-branches. No one can count them all. At the top of the tree trunk branched into two. One trunk was named Advaita Prabhu and the other Sri Nityananda Prabhu. From these two trunks grew many new branches and sub-branches that covered the entire world. Thus the disciples and the grand disciples and their admirers spread throughout the entire world, and it is not possible to enumerate all of them. As a big fig tree bears fruits all over its body, each part of the tree of devotional service bore fruit. Srila Prabhupada comments in this regard. Now this is a tree of devotion, and devotion has 9 angas. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam, Padasevanam, Vandanam, Archanam, Dasyam, Sakyam, Atmanivedanam. 9-fold process of devotional service. And any one of these processes, either singly or together in combination, bears the fruit which is love of God. So the comparison is made to a fig tree, because if you ever have seen a fig tree great personality, that he was able to expand the meaning of devotional service and Sankirtan to practically incorporate every possible activity in this world. In the Hare Krishna movie, haven't seen the most recent ones, but I remember the old movie had showed a computer. In those days there weren't so many computers, and it was printing out Hare Krishna. Remember that? In that movie. So that is to say, that Prabhupada showed that everything could be utilized in Lord Krishna's service, in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mission. And he showed how everything could be dovetailed, whether it was, big jet planes, computers, different ashrams, the Grihastha ashram, every possible thing which might be necessarily excluded in some people's minds as not being so directly Krishna conscious. Prabhupada showed how they could deliver the fruit of love of God. So today's verse, it mentions before this verse, the fruits ripened and became sweet and nectarian. The gardener, Lord Chaitanya, distributed them without asking any price. This is one of the characteristics of the mood of Lord Chaitanya. He does not consider who is qualified and who is not. If we were to consider who is qualified and who is not, how many of us, what percentage of us would be sitting here today? Rasamrita is shaking his head, saying, not me. Not myself either. And I think practically most people might say the same. That we're so much disqualified for so many reasons. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Patita Pavana. And Nityananda Prabhu is Dina Dayalu. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the deliverer of the most fallen. And Nityananda Prabhu is most merciful to the fallen, conditioned souls. So this is our qualification. Our qualification is that we can expect to be delivered by Sri Sri Gaura Nitai because of our fallen condition. But we have to take shelter of the lotus feet. The example is Jagai and Madai. They went to the farthest region of insanity by attacking Lord Nityananda Prabhu. It's practically unimaginable how such a person could nevertheless get love of God, but they did. In previous incarnations, when any demons fought with the Lord, the only thing they got was their heads cut off. That means they got liberation and nothing better. But in the case of Jagai and Madai, they got love of God. So, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Nityananda Prabhu are so merciful, and they have not made any distinction. So in the same way, when we preach Krishna consciousness, we should be in that liberal mood. We should see how far we can influence all the conditioned souls, and not make a distinction that, oh, this person is more worthy than this person. Just like a book distributor. When a book distributor goes out in Sankirtan, they should not start to make these types of distinctions. Who should I give the book to, and who should I not give the book to? They should try to pass the book to every single person they meet. That is the mood of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And Lord Chaitanya is so considerate of the needs of everyone that he can influence even persons who ordinarily are not going to take a book. So we shouldn't make any consideration on our part. The books are meant for everyone. They are meant for everyone. They create good fortune for anyone who takes a book. Just by holding the book, it creates good fortune for them. So even if they don't eventually take the book, they can at least hold it and see it, and maybe even appreciate it. And their bhakti begins. Now today's verse mentions, today's verse is, all the wealth in the three worlds cannot equal the value of one such nectarian fruit of devotional service. What does this mean? It means that all of our aspirations, whatever they may be, different people come to Krishna consciousness for different reasons. It is mentioned, Chaturvidha bhajantimam janaha sukritina arjuna artho jignasa artharti gyani chavarata sabha. 4 types of persons approach me, Krishna says. The person who is in distress, the person who is seeking wealth, the inquisitive person, and one who is searching after knowledge of the truth. So there are different impurities which we bring with us when we come to Krishna consciousness. And therefore we unconsciously pray that these desires which we bring with us may be fulfilled while I'm rendering devotional service. That's called mixed bhakti. I want to be this, I want to be that, or I want to have it like this, I want to have it like that. Now here it's mentioned that if you put all of the desires, not just your desires, but everybody's desire, in all of the planetary systems of the whole universe together, it cannot equal the value. If all those desires were fulfilled, it cannot equal the value of one nectarian fruit of pure devotional service. What does that mean? That means that actually we should have only one desire. We should have only one desire, and that's for developing love for Krishna. And there should not be anything else within our mind, because everything put together can't even begin to equal the value of this one fruit. Then you may say, well, what will happen to all my desires, which I think are important? Those that are important and worthwhile, Krishna will fulfill. And those which are not important, who cares for them? What was the loss anyway? Krishna knows very well what it is that we need, what will be beneficial for us, and He'll fulfill those things. So we should leave it up to Krishna. But we should endeavor and we should approach the Lord with one prayer only. Please give me unalloyed devotion to your lotus feet. Not considering who asked for it and who did not, nor who was fit and who was unfit to receive it, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu distributed the fruit of devotional service. Purport. This is the sum and substance of Lord Chaitanya's Sankirtan movement. There is no distinction made between those who are fit and those who are not fit to hear or take part in the Sankirtan movement. It should therefore be preached without discrimination. The only purpose of the preachers of the Sankirtan movement must be to go on preaching without restriction. That is the way in which Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu introduced the Sankirtan movement to the world. We should rise now to this level of Krishna conscious realization, that preaching is the essence of our lives, that there's nothing more important than preaching, and that will lift us way beyond the bodily platform. We're all encumbered by these bodies, the gross body, the subtle body, in which we feel and think so many things. But if we dedicate ourselves to preaching, and especially preaching means 3 activities: book distribution, Harinam, and Prasadam distribution. These 3 are the threefold prong, you can say, by which we can do battle with the threefold prongs of Maya, Trigunas: passion, goodness, and ignorance. If we want to fight with Maya, these are the 3 principal weapons: books, the holy name, and prasadam. And if we very strongly push these forward, without discrimination, our only concern should be, I have to go out each day and preach. Then Maya will not touch us. The difficulties that devotees have, we can say are due to 2 principal problems. 1, that they do not chant the holy name of the Lord, avoiding the 10 offenses. And 2, they don't dedicate themselves to the preaching activities of Krishna consciousness. If these 2 things are done very carefully, that you very carefully and cautiously chant your 16 rounds every day, and then you go out and extend yourself, expend your energy for spreading Krishna consciousness, then you will surely make advancement. Surely you will make advancement. Today, so many of you are going to take initiation, especially many brahmacharis and brahmacharinis. So as long as possible, if possible for your whole life, just do this preaching. Just like our mother Kamalini has come here, we're very happy to see her. So when we visited the Sankirtan devotees in El Paso, she said, this is the 21st year of being on a marathon for me, she said. She said, and my prayer now is that as my family is growing up, that I can simply dedicate myself to distributing as many books as possible until my body falls down exhausted. So we simply touch her lotus feet and pray that she blesses us with the same desire. Actually, we should always have this mood. Just try to establish yourself now, when you're young devotees, in this mood of preaching. And pray that it never leaves your heart.
Wow. Did everybody hear that? Were we able to hear it? Yes. Wonderful, huh? Just that sonorous voice, always saying the right things. How to upgrade our consciousness and our life. So wonderful. Thank you, Srila Gurudev. Thank you for blessing us, being here in your voice form. He once called it that his lectures are his voice form. So thank you for being with us in your voice form. Now we will go to the interview part of our first gathering in this year. And Nityananda Prabhu, would you like to start with reading the biography of Her Grace Indranila Mani?
Before we start that, we might have Chaitanya Chandra Prabhu now able to speak.
Is he unmuted?
Hear me now?
Oh,
Yes.
yes. All right.
It had
Let's
to go
switch
through.
back to the
I had,
original
I had to
program.
jump through some hoops, but we got it done.
You got it done, Prabhu. Hari Bol.
the mute button on the phone wasn't working. I had to go and reinstall Zoom and do a whole thing.
Oh, wow. Amazing. But it
Yeah.
worked.
But it worked. Yay.
Wonderful. So then, Nityananda Prabhu, shall we do it as we planned it? Let you
Yes,
do the
yes.
first
So I'll
part?
first introduce Chaitanya Chandra Prabhu, and
Right.
then after introducing Chaitanya Prabhu, we'll speak, and then we'll have question and answers and then interview questions. Thank you again, Chaitanya Chandra Prabhu, for joining us. We're so very happy you joined us. So His Grace Chaitanya Chandra Prabhu joined ISKCON on the Radha Damodar Traveling Sankirtan Party in San Francisco in 1975, May, when he met His Holiness Tamal Krishna Goswami and His Holiness Vishnujana Swami, who were traveling on the Radha Damodar bus. 7 weeks later, he was initiated by Srila Prabhupada in Chicago as part of one of the biggest initiations up to that time in ISKCON. After spending about 3 years traveling on Traveling Sankirtan Party, he moved to St. Louis, preaching and book distribution. Under the guidance of His Holiness Tamal Krishna Goswami, he moved to Gita Nagari, collecting funds for the Oklahoma farm in the early 80s. Then he moved to Dallas, serving as the temple commander, preaching, book distribution, and helping with Kalchandji's restaurant when it started. In 1986, he married Her Grace Neelamadhava Prabhu and is serving in Sri Sri Radha Kalachandji Dham. In 2010, he started preaching in El Paso and with other devotees having a steady preaching program, conducting Rath Yatra and other festivals. It was so nice that Gurudev mentioned El Paso in this program. Thank you so very much, Chaitanya Chandra Prabhu. Please enlighten us.
Yeah, in San Francisco, when this devotee of the two brothers who joined earlier, like maybe 68 or something like that, Keshava and Karundar. Karundar was the temple president of Los Angeles, and Keshava was his brother, and Keshava was one of Prabhupada's personal servants. He would drive Prabhupada to the morning walk, he would cook for Prabhupada sometimes, and he came to visit his old neighborhood, which I happened to be living in. And so I met him, and then he introduced me to Krishna consciousness, and then we decided to go. Tamal Krishna Goswami was traveling in his bus across America, and he happened to be in Washington State. And so Keshava called me. He was on the bus with Tamal Krishna Goswami. He called me and said, "We're in this beautiful bus traveling with all these nice devotees. Can you come?" And I said, "I just wrecked my car and I couldn't drive it to Washington. I was living in Central California." So then he called me a few days later in Oregon, said, "Can you come now?" And I said, "Well, my car is still useless. I can't do it." And then a few days later, they called me in San Francisco. And so I just took a flight up there from my house. It was a short flight, $27 on a little twin prop plane. And so I got to go meet Tamal Krishna Maharaj, Vishnu John Swami, and Tripurari Maharaj on the bus parked right out in front of the temple. And when I walked in, Tamal Krishna Maharaj, uh, he immediately greeted me, and there was a devotee named Chaitanya Vallabha or something leading a kirtan, playing the drum, and I had never seen a mridanga before, or actually even heard a kirtan before. And I was like, "Wow, I love drums. I love percussion." So he goes, "Oh, you like this drum, huh?" And I said, "Yeah." He goes, "Well, you'll learn how to play it." And so he and Vishnu John Maharaj were the bhakta leaders. So what they would do, and of course, what they had been doing was going from university to university, from Washington to Oregon to Northern California. And they would do the same thing. They would set up a stage with Radha Damodar, Shri Radha Damodar, the beautiful Radha and Krishna Murtis, beautiful deities. And Vishnu John Swami would be uh, up on the stage with his little band, Kirtan band, and they would chant. And so the way they would do it was, is Tamal Krishna Maharaj and whoever else was there would become part of the audience and observe who was actually paying attention and absorbed in the kirtan of Vishnu John Swami. So when I came into the Bhakta program, Vishnu John Maharaj taught me how to play the tambura, so I got to sit up on the stage. So I was watching Tamal Krishna Goswami, Keshava, that made me a devotee, Brahmadas, who was the person who I was going to join his bus. And those are the only ones I remember at the time, but they would infiltrate the audience and observe those absorbed in the kirtan. And I remember this one time, Tamal Krishna Goswami was talking to this young man, and Tamal Krishna Maharaj, like Indra Nilamani, is like the sales lady of Dallas. She was always the best salesperson. But Tamal Krishna Goswami was the ultimate devotee-making closing salesman. So he brings this young man back to the bus after the kirtan, and I was up there playing the tambura, and while Vishnu John Maharaj was singing, and this boy joined right on the spot, and he was part of that initiation ceremony in Chicago. And it was actually 1 month. It wasn't 6 weeks later. It was only 1 month later that we got there and got initiated. But his name became Paramatma Das, and he's still, involved somehow or other. I've seen his name pop up here and there over the years. So Tamal Krishna Maharaj and his assistants there in the Radha Damodar party, they were so powerful. They were so able to seize the moment, and when people were absorbed in the kirtan, he was able to convince them to become a devotee right on the spot. And that's what happened with my best friend Drista Das and other devotees, Vidyananda, who passed away a couple of years ago. They were there in Washington and Oregon at one of the universities, and they attended the program where they were doing kirtan, and they met Tamal Krishna Maharaj, and they got convinced, and they left their dorms. They just left and joined the buses. There's some complaints about how they would go to temples and brahmacharis, they would attract the brahmacharis to travel and distribute books, but actually the real potency was the going to those universities and just taking people right out of the college, right there on the spot, and they would join the buses and stop going to college right on the spot and blow their parents' minds. And you can imagine, right, if you send your kid to college, and all of a sudden he bloops out of college and joins this Hare Krishna movement, you know? So that was really wonderful. And when another interesting, you know, note of compassion for Tamal Krishna Goswami is that when Keshava and I were there in San Francisco and we met him, Keshava, of course, I only knew him really. I had just met Tamal Krishna Maharaj. So he wanted to go to LA to see Prabhupada. So I said, okay, let's go. So we went to my house, got rid of all my stuff, bought another car, and went to LA to see Prabhupada. So Tamal Krishna Maharaj was there, and he was a little upset with me that I had took off with Keshava. And but it wasn't really upset. He was just concerned, you know. And so then we got to see Prabhupada there, greet Prabhupada when he came to the airport and hear Prabhupada's classes. And that's the first time Prabhupada had ever been inside that temple room. It was where the Fate Museum is now. They moved it to its current location. And so then after some days of being there with Prabhupada and everybody, Tamal Krishna Maharaj decided that I should go back to San Francisco to the bus. And I had this pretty old station wagon, this called a Ford Cortina, which was really kind of like Fords were considered to be less quality back in those days. And this car was right there in that less quality category. But he wanted to ride with me all the way from LA to San Francisco in my car. And I was like, wow, that was amazing. And then at the last minute, by Krishna's arrangement, he had to do something else and he couldn't ride with me. He ended up going there by some other ways. And it was really Krishna's mercy because my car broke down like 3 times on the way to San Francisco. So anyway, Krishna, he was willing to do that, you know, it was like, and then he gave me directions not to go the faster way to San Francisco, which went by my house on Highway 101, but to take the desert path through the San Bernardino Valley and different, whatever, at the back way to go to San Francisco. So when I got there, he was there already. And, well, I don't know if he was there yet, but he got there soon after and then started our Bhakti program. And then we went from there to Denver, Colorado, where Prabhupada was there. And so he was going on the morning walks and being with Srila Prabhupada, and I was hanging out with Keshava. And then we went to Chicago. And, you know, he was like this very amazing, caring Bhakti leader. He says, Chaitanya, you should get initiated. I was like, wow, if you say so. I didn't know. So he arranged this whole thing. It was amazing. So sorry. But it was really interesting because there were so many devotees getting initiated. It was like around 100. And that was just the first day of initiations. And so it was all the Radha Damodar part of the first day. The next day was everybody else in the country who had come. And I don't remember how many devotees that was. I don't really remember. But so we were busy collecting money to give to Prabhupada, and Tamal Krishna Maharaj didn't have the opportunity to tell me at least, what to do, you know, when I was getting initiated. So, and I heard the initiation tape later, you know, years later, the cassette recording. And I was actually the very first person to get initiated in that ceremony. So I didn't get to see anybody, what to do, what to say, nothing. I was the first one up there. And I was like, oh my God, it's like you're in front of this powerful, pure devotee. So you have this really amazing version of like, kind of like stage fright or something. It was, I couldn't describe it. It was like you go there in front of Prabhupada and you freeze. It's like I couldn't function. It was like being in front of Prabhupada was like this magnificent being. So then Prabhupada, you know the story, I've told it a million times. He asked me, what are the 4 rules? And I was like, oh my God, I just read Nectar Devotion and there's so many rules. And I didn't know what rule he was talking about, because I hadn't been coached. I didn't know I was going to get asked these questions. I didn't know anything. 1 month, I was a 1-month bhakta. And so then Brahmananda Maharaj at the time comes up to me and says, he was standing there and he goes, hey, because I knew him, because I had given him a ride to a morning walk. The only morning walk I ever went on was when I gave him a ride to the morning walk in Los Angeles on Venice Beach. Tamal Krishna Maharaj was there, Prabhupada was there, and Brahmananda Maharaj, he missed the ride to the morning walk because he was a little late. And so on the conversation, Tamal Krishna Maharaj is talking to Prabhupada with the other devotees, and Prabhupada's like, where's Brahmananda? And Tamal Krishna Maharaj says, well, maybe he's not feeling well, Srila Prabhupada, because he wasn't dancing very much during Mangal Arti this morning. And everybody laughed. It was a big group of devotees ready to go on the walk, but Prabhupada was waiting for Brahmananda. So all of a sudden I pull up, Brahmananda jumps out and runs down the hill. It's at Venice Beach and offers obeisances. And Prabhupada says, oh, you're late. And Prabhupada says, and everybody laughs, the whole crowd is laughing. Prabhupada's being very fun with Brahmananda. And Brahmananda said, no, Srila Prabhupada, you left early. And Prabhupada didn't go for that at all. He said, no, you were late. And so everybody's laughing. It's this very jovial mood. And I come walking out of my car, and Prabhupada's bodyguard is there named Rakshana Das. And he says, stop. And I'm like, I'm just nobody, right? And this new guy. And I'm like, okay. And he goes, who are you? And I'm like, I'm with him. And I point to Keshava, and he and Keshava are good buddies. And so then he goes, oh, you're okay, then you could come on the walk, So I got to go on the walk. But I was just trying to stay out of the way about basically. But anyway, Brahmananda's asking me, do you know the 4 rules? But then he says, do you know the regulative principles? And then I understood what he was talking about. So I said, oh yeah, no gambling, no intoxication, no meeting, no illicit sex. And he goes, he knows I'm Prabhupada like this because we're standing about 10 feet or at least 10 feet from Prabhupada, maybe a little further. And so then Prabhupada says, come forward, come forward. And they had Prabhupada just installed 4 sets of Gaurnatai deities. And that was like a big festival, right? This huge installation of all these Gaurnatais. It was amazing. Prabhupada bathed them all, the devotees, it was a whole celebration. So I come up and Prabhupada hands me my beads and says, your name is Chaitanya Chandra Das. And the whole room exploded with jais. I was the first one right after all these Gaurnatais got installed. So it was pretty amazing. But so anyway, I wrote a bunch of notes about different things I wanted to say. I already said about how Gurudev was making devotees very quickly and spontaneously in San Francisco in front of the Ghirardelli chocolate factory and the wharf, it was called. Those were the 2 spots we used to set up. So Tamal Krishna Maharaj in the Bhakta program had us, after a few days, had us trained up how to distribute Back to Godhead magazines. And Kavi Chandra, who was Kavi Chandra Das Grihasta at the time, he was one of the leading BTG distributors then. So he was there in San Francisco at the temple. So he was helping to train us how to go out and distribute Back to Godheads. On this very, very giant, busy sidewalk of the Ghirardelli chocolate factory near the wharf, thousands of people on the sidewalk. So the devotees were there on the sidewalk, and he's showing me how to distribute these magazines. So then I'm like, okay, here we go. So I'm out there distributing Back to Godheads, first time in my life, and the police come and arrest me for blocking traffic on the sidewalk. And I was like, oh my God. I was like, I didn't know anything about all this kind of stuff, and gonna get arrested. But I was cool. I was like, well, and so I'm sitting in the back of the police car, and the policemen are envious of the devotees. And they're saying, "Oh, we want to get that one, and we want to get that one," and they're like, hoping they can catch, because everybody else knew they had to keep moving in order to keep the flow going on the sidewalk. But here I'm this dumb new guy, and I don't know, so I'm stopping on the sidewalk, not walking with people, right? So I impeded the flow of the sidewalk. So I had to spend the night in jail, and the devotees came and got me out the next day. And I was like, "Oh, this is cool," I had to go to jail for Krishna. But anyway, so we then Tamal Krishna Mars, then those 4 buses that you see in the famous photo, they were being worked on in this place in Florida by a crew of devotees, and one of them was Giridhari Das Brahmachari at the time, who became our Giridhari Swami. And he and this crew were working on all these buses, turning them into traveling temples and traveling storage units for all the thousands and thousands of books that we would load them up with. So Tamal Krishna Mars, the way he had the buses set up, he put me on Brahmadas's bus with Drista, my friend, who I got initiated with, and so many other nice devotees. Rasatala was there, Rangaji, Keshiha, Keshihanta, and I think Apurva was the cook at one point, but Sunanda, our cook of the restaurant, was the cook on our bus. And the way he had it set up was we had, a few vans, Dodge vans. We always had Dodge vans. We didn't have Ford vans. Ambarish hadn't joined yet, We all had Dodge vans. And we would go out for the day and come back to the bus at night. And so we would get these book shipments where they would actually fill the entire inside of the temple room of the bus up with books. So when you went into the bus, you had to climb up over like 2 or 3 layers of boxes, crawl up on top, come over down in front of the deities. So we used to have our kirtan sitting on the boxes in front of Gornatai on the bus. That's how many, there were hundreds of boxes in the bays of the bus and in the temple room. So we would, have our morning programs based on, how many books there were. So sometimes we could dance and everything if we got the books unloaded. We'd have a nice kirtan, or other times we would be sitting on the boxes. But in any case, so we had this beautiful little Sankirtan army, like this brahmachari parties, leaving the bus and coming back every day. And then we graduated. Then we were able to actually go out for a week and distribute books, and then come back for the Sunday feast at the bus, which was like a big, big thing. The prasadam was so good. We always had gulab jamans and all, the best prasadam. It was always amazing. Tamal Krishna Maharaj made sure we always had really, really good prasadam, because we're all young guys and we functioned on our tongues, you know what I mean? It was like we had to have really good prasadam in order to be out there all day, because we would normally just eat like oatmeal or, or like granola with buttermilk, or, some really simple thing when we were out for our week and come back for the Sunday feasts. And then at one point, we were doing Back to Godhead distribution. And this is right at the verge when we were starting to do small books. But there was a problem with the BBT. in that they had printed so many Back to Godheads that there was like this giant stock, I don't know, 150,000 or, you know, some pretty good sized number, maybe more than that. So Tamal Krishna Maharaj, being the, you know, big thinker that he was, he bought all the Back to Godheads from the BBT and distributed them to all the bus parties. So then we had a marathon of and so he motivated everybody with Prashadam. The whole marathon was motivated on how if you distribute the most Back to Godheads, then you get all the Mangal Artik sweets and the lunch offering, right? And they made the Mangal sweets were like unbelievable. They were so good. Vishnu John Maharaj taught everybody how to make all these amazing rasgullas and burfi and this stuff called amrita, which when you take um, Eagle brand condensed milk and you boil it in the can on the stove, it becomes very thick, like this really thick nectar, and they add saffron to it and different things. So it was like this really amazing, it was like condensed Shrikhan. It was really amazing. Anyway, so they announced to us in the morning, now whoever distributes the most Back to Godheads is going to get this Mangal Artik sweet plate and the lunch offering. And I was like, okay, that's me for sure. So I went out and I distributed just under 500 Back to Godhead magazines that day. So I won the marathon and got the Maha. So it was like a big thing. He knew how to motivate all of us young guys with Prashadam. And then right after that, the big books started to come out. They started to get published. So then we started getting Krishna book, which was this huge, beautiful, giant silver book, right? And Bhagavad Gita, the abridged edition, it was a smaller, like kind of like the Bhagavatam size at the time. Macmillan didn't let Prabhupada print the whole thing yet. That came, well, that they did, but in the bulk quantity, we had this abridged version anyway. And the Krishna book. So we're all like, oh my God, how are we going to sell these big books? So Tamal Krishna Maharaj, of course, engineered the motivation. He said, okay, for everybody on the Radha Damodar party, for every big book you distribute, you get a glubjamin. We're all like, oh my God, we get glubjamins? It was like this whole, you know, it was like that was the most wonderful thing you could eat on earth, right? It was a glubjamin. So he knew how to motivate everybody. So then we were out there trying, and I remember the first day this devotee, Jagat Shaka, distributed 3 big books. And none of us distributed any other big books. We only did small books. And we were like, man, it was hard how to distribute these big books. It was like, it was such a challenge because they're so big and they cost more. You know, we're used to distributing small books that are cheap with incense, you know. So then he told us what he did, you know, and maybe he distributed 5. It was either 3 or 5 the first time, right? So then we all got motivated, you know, especially because of the glubjamins, but we got encouragements.
Froze up. Looks like you froze, Prabhuji.
Let him
Yeah,
freeze.
my lights just went out. I don't know what happened. Can you still hear me?
Yes, yes, we can hear you, Prabhuji.
So, all right, sorry. Anyway, so anyway, that was how the book distribution got going. We all started distributing more books and more books and more books, and and it got into the range where now the Radha Damodar Party were the competitors in the American and European book distribution scene. Because we were distributing so many Back to Godheads, and then Rameshwar Maharaj came up with a Sankirtan newsletter where they were giving the results of the book distribution to Prabhupada. Lights came back on. And so Tamal Krishna Maharaj would organize every year like in November, late November, all the devotees on the Radha Damodar party would come to a certain place. All the parties, all the buses, all the vans, everybody, we would all meet, and we would have a kirtan festival and classes and fabulous prasadam. And then we would have like this special meeting. Okay, they were like, say, okay, everybody now is going to make a pledge of like a vow type of pledge of how many books do you think you're going to be able to distribute for the Christmas marathon? And how much money do you think you're going to collect? So Tamal Krishna Maharaj and Vishnu John Maharaj would work together, especially Vishnu John Maharaj, because he was a baker. He was a really good cook. And they would make all these beautiful varieties of sweets. So when you would offer your vow of how much you were going to distribute, you would get a particular, sweet or several sweets. And the highest sweet was Vishnu John Maharaj's chocolate eclairs filled with cream donuts that he would make. So that was like whoever pledged the highest got that sweet, right? So everybody was like, oh man, we want Vishnu John Maharaj's Radha Damodar donuts if possible. Otherwise, we got rasgullas and burfis and other kinds of sweets, right? But anyway, so we would get together and every single person would say, okay, here's how much I think I can do. So then it was this whole beautiful motivation thing, And then we would all get the newsletters, and then Tamal Krishna Maharaj would come and say, because Prabhupada's still on the planet at this time. So he's in direct communication all the time with Prabhupada. So then he's telling us Prabhupada's, like reactions to how many books we're distributing as the Radha Damodar party. And so we're like, wow, we're pleasing Prabhupada, And even Prabhupada writes about the Radha Damodar party in his Chaitanya Charitamrita in a purport. I didn't look that up, but Prabhupada mentions how the devotees are traveling in buses and, distributing his books. And so we always he was always connecting us, all the devotees. He would give news of Prabhupada's pleasure. And then every time we would do the marathon, that one first big year in 1975, right? We did really a lot of books. So then we got to go in 76, the following few months later, to the giant Mayapur festival. And pretty much the entire Radha Damodar party went. It was like, at that time, around 100, something like that, maybe 130. I don't remember exactly. But it was the first time that a 747 jet had been sold to, I guess it was Air India or something. And it's the first time a 747 had ever landed in India. So we first landed in Bombay and then went to Calcutta. And it was really funny. We landed in Bombay and they had like a special like ceremony type thing for this big jet to come into the airport. And then all the devotees got off. It was full of devotees. There was only, because it was all the devotees from all over America. It was like 375 devotees on the jet or something like that. So we had all these kirtans and prasadam on the jet, and Tamal Krishna Maharaj organized all this amazing prasadam that we were able to have on the plane. We all had even just to start with, we all had bags of just samosas, not potato samosas, but cauliflower pea samosas, right? They're way better than just the potato ones. So we had all these, hundreds of devotees on the flight. And then we get to Mayapur. Obviously, it was a very amazing trip. And Vishnu John Maharaj, when we got on the plane to go to India, it was either when we got on the plane or got off the plane, he hands us a picture of him sitting with Tamal Krishna Maharaj with Radha Damodar in between, and a picture of Prabhupada on one side. And them with Radha Damodar on the other side, kind of as a little altar piece for us to have when we were in India. So anyway, we all get there, and Tamal Krishna Maharaj is managing the whole thing, making sure we all got prasadam and that we're taken care of. And then he engages us because he's like Prabhupada's right-hand man. And that's the other interesting story that everybody already knows, that when Tamal Krishna Maharaj was the GBC in India, he basically wanted to go and preach in the West and didn't want to continue being the GBC in India, and Prabhupada was angry with him. He wanted him to stay, but he said he wanted to preach, so Prabhupada let him go. And then when Prabhupada came to America, this is when already Tamal Krishna Maharaj had already started the Radha Damodar idea, and started making devotees. So Prabhupada met with him in Los Angeles, and Prabhupada was very stern with him. So, what is your preaching? So Tamal Krishna Maharaj, being the brilliant, perfect planner and visionary, he already knew that was going to be like that. So he lines up all these 10 brahmacharis, at least 10, it could have been 12, with a rose. And one by one, they all came in and offered the rose to Prabhupada, and then offered dandavats. Another one came in. Another one came in. All 10 or 12. And then Prabhupada was beaming. It was like, this is preaching. This is preaching. So anyway, we got there to India, and so because he was so connected to Prabhupada, he engaged all of us, at least myself, and I know so many others. We got to guard Prabhupada's room. We got to go and take darshan with Prabhupada and hear him speak. And we had a special Radha Damodar darshan with Prabhupada, where all the devotees got to cram into this beautiful room that Prabhupada had up there and hear Prabhupada. And, we got to listen to him answer the questions of the devotees and preach to us. And then Tamal Krishna Maharaj also arranged for us to be Prabhupada's servants to serve his guests prasadam. Because Prabhupada's the main preacher there in Mayapur, right? The ISKCON society, he's the main person. So he had many, many personal guests coming to Mayapur. And Tamal Krishna Maharaj was overseeing serving the prasadam to Prabhupada's guests.
Nice.
Which, that's where, we all know how great Tamal Krishna Maharaj was about serving and taking prasadam. So he trained us how to wear the chadar properly and tie it, and how to serve prasadam without saying a word, just with a spoon, giving it on the people's plates and waiting until they cover the plate with their hands to stop us from giving more. So we got to serve Prabhupada's guests, and Prabhupada would come out and check on us, and how we were doing. Anyway, so it was a really spectacular experience there in Mayapur.
So
In
probably we have
1976.
people who have questions as well. So,
Okay.
so what we'll do is we'll first hear from Mother Indra Nilamati and then have the questions come in together. But it's so nice that, Krishna appeared in jail and he went to jail for Krishna. That shows how special a devotee you are. Really nice to have you. Mother Rati Manjari, should I introduce Mother Indra Nila and then we'll go to questions after that? Yes?
Yes, you may do
Okay.
so. Yes, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you, Chaitanya Chandra Prabhu, again.
Hey, you're welcome. Thank you. And I
You're
didn't get to cover even 1/10 of the Leelas because this is a short program, so maybe someday
Yes,
we
yes.
can
I think we'll bring you back
go.
again. We have the wonderful Leelas, man. This is just
Because
amazing.
I got Kalachandji's Leelas, Philippines Leelas, Hong Kong Leelas, Fiji Leelas.
I hear a book. There's
Yeah.
Singapore Leelas,
Fiji
more
Leelas.
Mayapur Leelas at the Navadvip Mandala Parikram in 1993 when Gurudev was there. So I got unlimited amounts of Leelas with Gurudev. Houston installation of Radha Nila Madhava, Houston installation of the great Giriraj. I got to live with Gurudev in the Houston temple in his quarters and stay there with him at different times. And anyway, sorry.
No, thank you.
No,
We
sorry.
appreciate it. It's all
Mercy.
nectar. It's all nectar.
Yes.
All right,
Thank
so
you.
this is introducing Mother Indranila Mani Mataji. Indranila Prabhu, welcome. And welcome also to Radha Vinod Prabhu.
Vivo.
Yes, and Shamali Prabhu. All right, so
Vivo.
although Mother Indranila Mani Prabhu was born and raised in Buenos Aires, Argentina, it was in London while studying fine arts that she first met the devotees in 1978 and visited the Bhaktivedanta Manor in 1979. However, Krishna had another plan, which would bring her closer to meeting her spiritual master. In December 1980, she and her husband, Radha Vinod Prabhu, traveled to Houston, where they began regularly visiting the temple. In February 1981, they moved to Dallas community, where they both received initiation from Tamal Krishna Goswami Maharaj in October of that same year. She engaged in Sankirtan, first selling paintings for 10 years to raise funds for the major projects at the time, which included, sorry, my phone's playing up a little bit, included establishing a vegetarian restaurant, Kalchanji's, developing a farm community in Oklahoma, and remodeling the temple, transforming it from a former basketball court into a beautiful temple and palace it is nowadays. She then dedicated 12 more years to book distribution and hosted home programs to help cultivate and inspire new people. At the present, she's been leading sage groups with Wisdom of the Sages for the last 6 years, along with her daughter, Shyamali. After living in the Dallas community for 32 years, she currently lives in Santa Monica, California, with her husband and 2 daughters. Welcome, Indranila Mani Mataji, and Manjari Prabhu, please, you can take over. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna. So wonderful to
Hare
see you and to have to hear your biography. It's already clear that you did mountains of service for our beloved Srila Gurudev and also for, of course, for Srila Prabhupada. Yeah, the theme of today was Harinam Sankirtan. So we heard of the, massive distribution of the holy name and the books by His Grace Chaitanya Chandra Prabhu. And I would like to invite you in Ranila Mani, Prabhu or Mataji, Devidasi, my dear friend,
Yeah.
whom Gurudev connected us, put us together in
Yeah.
the room of the guest house in Krishna Balaram Mandir, because
Right.
we were going to do the Brahma Samhita course in the IHE. So he
Right.
put me right into the heat of the bhakti aura that you have for the love you have for Srila Gurudev. So he put me there, and I'm so grateful for that. So it's a special honor and a pleasure for me to be able to interview you today.
Thank you.
And please take us there. You've been the number one book distributor in at least America for several marathons, and maybe also in the world. I don't remember all the details, but you did an astounding amount of book distribution. But how? Why? I mean, where did it all start? Can you take us to the beginning?
Sure. Thank you. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to remember Srila Gurudev, our beloved spiritual master, and glorify him. Thank you, Chaitanya Chandra Prabhu. I could hear you all day long. So all the wonderful pastimes with Srila Gurudev. We want to hear more. So happy your microphone, worked. Anyway, so as Nityananda Prabhu was reading in the bio, with Brother Vinod Prabhu here, my husband, him and I, we joined in Dallas, the Dallas community. First, we went to the Houston temple. It's incredible when you look back how Krishna brings us in. It's like he throws breadcrumbs throughout our life, right? Like he comes in and he attracts us a little bit, and then maybe we're not ready, and then again and again like that. And it was interesting because when we arrived in Houston, the first night, we were supposed to stay with a person. And when we called him, he didn't answer the phone because it was December 31st, the last day of the year. So he was probably celebrating. But we had the address and phone number of the Houston temple. And so we said, well, what do we do? Because he was supposed to have arrangements for us to stay. So we called the temple in Houston and they said, oh, come in. We have a place for you to stay. Devotees were like that, so welcoming and open and warm, right? They didn't even know us and they just welcomed us to the family. So Krishna had that plan, as I said in the bio, like, although I met devotees in London and went to the temple there, Krishna was bringing me to Gurudev, right? Bringing us to Srila Gurudev, our eternal spiritual master. So, well, and then the devotees had this, Jai Gurudev. He, Rati Manjari does all the visual effects. And so they had the farm in Oklahoma. And since we had been living in the mountains in France, devotees said, why don't you go there and you help us? You know how to work the land and you have some experience, rather not used to train horses, so different things. And we said, yeah, we would love to. We would love to go and help in the farm. So we moved to Dallas, but then we found out that the farm didn't need it so much help, was in the beginning stages. And I think earlier I saw Radhanath Prabhu somewhere here. I don't know if he's still here, but we stayed with Radhanath Prabhu and at that time Nanda Priya. He was temple president in the Dallas temple, and they were so sweet and warm, and they welcomed us in their home. Anyway, and it all started, we started cleaning the temple. That was our service. For many months, I was washing pots, and I remember what nowadays is a men's bathroom was like a room with two sinks, and I had pots and buckets up to the ceiling, scrubbing, and I would sweep and mop and chant Hare Krishna in between, and just like a side note, I know Gurudev later on, many years later, when I did Sankirtan, he said he attributed just because of doing that menial service that helped me clean my heart, and I was able to do good performance on Sankirtan. So no service is too small, right? And anyway, so I did a lot of cleaning, washing, cleaning my heart, chanting Hare Krishna in the meantime. And then one day I bumped into Srila Gurudev on that alley that is between the temple and Kalachandji's park, right?
Yeah.
And then Gurudev said, how come you're not going on Sankirtan? And I said, well, I don't know. I'm doing this other service, and I don't know, I feel a little shy to go out and meet people. I get nervous. My English was not, I mean, it was okay, but not so fluent as now. And so he said, oh, no. You are going to do great. You should go on Sankirtan. You must go on Sankirtan. You're going to do wonderful. No need to be nervous about it. And it's interesting because years later, a Prabhupada disciple who was with him and during that Japa walk told me, I remember when Tamal Krishna Goswami empowered you to go out on book distribution, on Sankirtan. That was Sankirtan at that time because it was paraphernalia. And I said, oh, really? When was that? Yeah, remember in that alley between the park and the temple that he told you to go out on books. And then, of course, at that time, I didn't think about it as empowerment, but thinking back, I realized, yes, he really actually, along with the instruction, he empowered me. He gave me the ability and the power to do it because, as it said in the lecture we heard earlier, there is no discrimination in who is qualified to distribute these fruits of love of God. Lord Chaitanya wants all of us to do it, not, that, oh, I'm not so good, I'm not a good speaker, I'm not a good at this, but Gurudev was so good at knowing our potential, even when we didn't. And he knew our natures, and he was so expert in engaging us accordingly, right? So he had a vision, he knew, and he sent me out on Sankirtan, and which in those days, at that time, he was selling paintings. He had established his painting business as a temple business, and it was for raising funds for all these projects. So at that time, they were building the restaurant, which became the #1 restaurant in the Southwest region. Kalachanji is amazing. And like Chaitanya Chandra Prabhu said, him and his wife worked there for many years. Sunanda Prabhu was the chef. It was incredible, the restaurant. Then also they were remodeling the temple room. That was a basketball court, and they remodeled it into a beautiful palace and temple. And we had a farm in Oklahoma. So, but what I want to talk a minute is about this empowerment that as I remember when this devotee mentioned that, I thought of all the experiences I had in Sankirtan, selling paintings and doing book distribution. And it is so true, because when you go out, externally you're distributing books, but internally it's all about the internal meditation, right? And the connection with the spiritual master. And it's such a wonderful service. Gurudev said it's a sacred service, book distribution, because you are connecting with the spiritual master, with Prabhupada, and the whole parampara. And it's a wonderful way to feel their presence as you're doing it. And I could experience that, because whenever I was connected and thinking, please, Sri Gurudev, bless me and put the right words in my mouth to touch people's hearts. And, when I would pray, when I was in a prayerful mood, things would flow. I mean, the mercy was flowing, people were coming, taking the books. And at times when I was not connected, then I would say the same mantras and it wouldn't work, right? People were, no, I'm busy, no, 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 like that, right? So it's such a wonderful transcendental service to connect with the spiritual master and his instruction and feel his presence. And I can tell just a few anecdotes about both selling paintings. For example, one time we used to sell paintings in front of grocery stores. And I remember this man, he came and he said, I'm moving, and can I bring you, can I donate a painting? And I said, yeah, you can donate a painting. So he shows up a few, like 30 minutes later with this gigantic painting. It was almost like a mural. And he said, I did it, and I call it The Changing Bodies. I said, really? And it was. It was like, incredible, just like our philosophy. It was like all these figures and faces, like of a child and growing into an adult and an old person. Crazy, incredible. The Changing Bodies diorama over there in an oil painting. So he donated the painting, and if I couldn't sell it, it wouldn't fit in the van. So I was trying to sell it, and finally someone bought it for $900. So that was really beautiful experience.
Amazing.
And then
That's just a miracle. A changing body.
Krishna,
How do you just
Krishna
give
miracle.
that away? How big
Exactly.
was it?
And then, the topic of the painting, it was our philosophy. And then another time I was in Arizona selling paintings in a grocery store, and then a blind man came, accompanied with
To the
someone,
painting.
he couldn't
Yeah.
see the painting, but he said,
Oh,
yeah, so funny, no? So he said, I have a big house, I moved in, and I don't have any artwork, so I trust that you can help me choose. I will describe to you all the rooms, and you can help me choose paintings for these spaces. And so we did that. I was telling him, describing the painting, this is a landscape, this is a seascape, a floral, whatever. And he ended up, these were paintings that we sold for like $100, $150, $50. And he bought like $1,500 of paintings. So family always thinks it's kind of peculiar that I sold all these paintings to a blind man, right? So, but things like that would happen, whenever we would connect to Srila Gurudev. And on book distribution, for example, I remember Gurudev would give wonderful lectures to inspire us, the book distributors. And he would say that these books were not only time bombs, but were like smart bombs. Like in the war with Iraq, he was describing in this lecture how they would just throw these bombs and they would go straight into a particular target, and that's where they would explode without affecting the surroundings, right?
Mm.
So he said, these books are like time bombs and they have a name on them, and they will go to the particular person who is calling out for Krishna. So I was going store to store doing books, and I went to a place where they exchange money and they send money to other countries. So I showed this man these two books through the window because, they're behind. And he wide opened his eyes and he said, one moment. And he went around and locked the door and he told me, someone left these same two books outside on the windowsill, and I picked them up. And then I started reading them and I realized this was exactly what I needed to hear. I was going through a hard time and I was looking for something like this. And I saw this as providence. This is the man's words. So I smiled and I thought of Gurudev's example of the time bombs. And I said, you are right. These books have a name, and these two books evidently had your name, because when this happens, when a person is seeking, their heart starts beeping. I'm ready, Krishna, I need Krishna. And so the book, being Krishna himself, starts guiding the book distributor towards these persons who are calling out for help, for spiritual help. And so they guide us and they connect. Lord Chaitanya connects the book distributor with the person. And it was such a wonderful experience to see how this magic works, right? And I can tell you one more story, and then if you want to interview, ask some questions. But another fond memory I have of book distribution was when going to college campuses. And I remember this particular incident when I met this boy and girl, and they were very, very enthusiastic, and they loved the books, and they wanted to buy some, but he didn't have any money. So he said, can I meet you tomorrow in the cafeteria and I'll bring some money? I said, yeah, let's do that. So I continue with my day. And so the next day I kind of forgot about it. And but then I remembered, oh my gosh, I have to go. I'm 5 minutes late. So I started, and I was a little skeptical. I thought probably he's not there, but I said, you never know, right? So then I started walking, and then one student was sitting on a bench, and he said, oh, wait, you are the lady with the books. I want to see your books. And so I was showing him, and he bought a Bhagavad Gita. And I told him, oh, you want this quest for enlightenment? So I said, oh, no, this book, I have a friend who said he was going to buy it for me. The background is moving. Can you make it smaller? It's moving oh, okay. Sorry, something about the computer. So then he said, no, this book someone is giving me as a gift, so I'm not going to get that one. I'll just get the Bhagavad Gita. I said, okay. So I was a little later even, and I went and I arrived, and this student was waiting for me, and I apologized. I'm sorry, I'm late. And so he gave me the money for the quest for enlightenment, and he said, I'm going to give this to a friend as a gift. I said, oh, really? What is your friend's name? And it was the same boy that he had just taught me. I said, oh, what a coincidence. Well, very nice. Since you're giving away the book, why don't you get one yourself? He said, well, I would like to, but I don't have any money. But tomorrow I'll come with more money and I'll get. So the next day we met, and he came with $30 and bought a Bhagavad Gita and some other books. So then I went along, and then I bumped into the girl that was with him the previous day. And she said, oh, I really want to also get some books myself. And, my boyfriend has been talking about it, and the Bhagavad Gita, I want one myself. I said, sure, yeah. So she bought a Bhagavad Gita. And then that evening, I was doing door to door. We would do the campus in the day and door to door in the evenings. And so I knock on the door, and as soon as the door opened, I didn't even open my mouth. This boy said, oh, you're the lady with all the books. 4 of my friends told me about these books, and I really want to get them all. Oh, can you please come in? I said, yeah, of course. And I start showing him. I said, how much money should I give you? And I said, I don't know, as much as you can, 60, 80, whatever you can. So he gave $80, yeah, and then I gave him a BTG subscription and a Bhagavad Gita and several of the other big books. But anyway, that was such a nice day. I never forget it, because it was like Lord Chaitanya's network, like this person and told that person, and this person told the other. And it was like how I could feel how Lord Chaitanya's mercy was spreading like electricity throughout the college campus, and all the people were just so attracted, you know. And anyway, so it was like I call it the Lord Chaitanya's magic network, you know. And
Yeah.
well, many other stories. Actually, I'll show you one thing real quick, Rati, because remember this magazine
Yeah,
you
yeah.
used to make, the Krishna Katamrita? This is a
Yeah, yeah.
beautiful magazine, by the way, to all of you dear devotees and God brothers and God sisters, that Rati Manjari used to edit, print, write, illustrate the whole thing. And here there was an article. There is me and Shamali as a baby, right?
Yeah. Uh,
And this is a drawing that she did. Let's see if it shows. And that is Bhaktin Dorothy, who, here, let me see the picture of Bhaktin Dorothy. Remember, she's from Amsterdam, and she came to experience book distribution, right? And Guri sent her with me to carry my books. So she remembered this particular incident, and Rati Manjari wrote, did a drawing. It was so funny. This was door to door. And when the lady opened the door, I was going to show her some books, and a street cat went into her apartment. So then she was scared. She got all scared about this wild cat, and she jumped on the sofa. And her husband was on the phone. And so I said, I was showing her the book and said, my friend Dorothy's a vet. He can come in and find the cat. Is that okay? So Dorothy was inside the apartment looking for the cat who went under the bed. And I was, the lady over the sofa, and I was showing her the Bhagavad Gita. And well, this is Arjuna. This is Arjuna who is having a crisis, and this is Krishna who is telling him to find, I was telling her about the Bhagavad Gita, and the husband was looking like, what's going on here? So anyway, the lady, then another cat came in, so it was like a madhouse, and the lady ended up buying 3 books, and then, Dorothy got the cats out of the apartment. But Sankirtan was also fun, like every day there was something. Every day. Yeah, and every day we met wonderful people, and we saw the Krishna magic happening, by Gurudeva's mercy. So here, 1 second, Ravinod here, because Ravinod, he's not feeling, he has a bit of a cold, so he's going to go and for a moment. You want to say goodbye? Here, we'll give him a moment here. Yeah.
Ravinod, Hare Krishna.
It's nice to meet
Great
you
to
all.
see you. It's just so nice to see both of you and your fruit of love, one of them, Shamini. And maybe, I don't know, is Rinna also there? She's there?
Yeah,
or
but
no?
she's getting ready because she's taking a 200-hour training course to become a yoga teacher. So she's on her way out. But she
Amazing.
can, gonna drive me again. Okay. She can come 1 minute and say hello here.
Yeah, say hello.
Haribo.
Oh,
Haribo.
so all good and mercy
She's
people.
grown.
All
Jai.
growing up. Big time.
Fantastic. Lovely to
So
see
nice
you
to
all.
meet everyone again.
You look so gorgeous. all of
pleasure.
you. Thank you so much. So what a nice, you're looking good. Yeah. Rinna, look.
One day, Ravinod can tell his stories. He was the Sankirtan leader, actually. And if it wasn't for him, sometimes he's the unsung heroes, right? The Sankirtan leader who was ordering the books, organizing the book room, choosing the spots where the devotees would go out. He did so much service. So someday would be wonderful to hear from him. And he had a lot of association from Srila Gurudev. Here, show yourself again. Here.
Hare Krishna.
Bye.
Jai Prabhu.
Nice.
All of
Take care of yourself.
Yes.
But
Wonderful.
one
We
thing I
have-
want to chime in before my mom continues.
Go
Because
ahead.
she will describe it in a more factual, humble way. But I think I've heard from many devotees growing up, whenever they observed her doing Sankirtan, I wasn't there, of course, I wasn't born yet, but they said, oh, Shamali, it was a sight to be seen. Your mother had an aura around her, and I would just watch from afar and just see her pulling everyone in like an ocean of mercy. So I can only imagine what it was like. But I think definitely when she talked about empowerment, Tamal Krishna Goswami could absolutely see someone's nature without having seen it yet totally manifested and pull it out into the reality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rama Samhita, there was a one of our god brothers, Brahma Samhita, and during
Yeah.
the painting days, and he went to a store. It was a little store in a remote area, those country stores, and there's no one coming. And Brahma came back and called up Pandava Vijay, was a Sankirtan leader, and then he said, Pandava, this store is dead. I couldn't do anything. I did, $50. And Pandava said, in those days, the truth, they always let you know the truth. You are in Maya, Brahma. That's a problem. And then I'm going to show you how you're in Maya. So in this case, he sends in Ranila, and Brahma said, okay, let's see what happens. And Brahma said, I couldn't believe it. I couldn't unload the paintings fast enough, and she was selling all.
Really?
I said, I was so humbled. She always tell us tell the story of how empowered she was.
Yeah,
And
it was,
actually
I
talk
noticed.
about cleaning
Yeah.
the temple. I think in one of my recent trips, Mother Chandravali said she added to that story saying that when Gurudev saw her cleaning the temple, I think with a little small brush, she was doing each corner and nook of the temple. And he thought, who does that? She's going to be a great Sankirtan devotee because of the love that she puts into any service, no matter how big or small.
Great point. Thank you.
It
Yeah,
was all
yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Goodest mercy, really. I was saying in the beginning, it's like connecting with him, and then all the magic would start happening, meeting people, things were flowing. We were like swimming on the river, going with the current of Gauranga's mercy, right? Like distributing the mercy, the fruits of love of God. Even though I was not qualified, somehow or other, I got the gardener's hat, Lord Chaitanya wanted many gardeners to help him. And here we were. And it was really the best years of my life, remembering them.
Mm. Yeah, wonderful, wonderful. We just got a bit of a taste. I was thinking of you as a surfer, surfing the waves of Nectar Mercy, and just like almost drunk, like don't care. Oh, a good spot, a bad spot, a blind to the client, or no client, something will happen. I like you just carefree, this loving attitude. Everybody loves that. Their love will attract love. If you're so open, and of course your nature as a Latina, it may help. It does help, I think, but it's not that. It's like you surrendered to that instruction, and you did so much service. We all owe you so much. I mean, not that you did that, but it is a fact that yeah, you are a legend. You are my dear friend, but you're also a legend. That's amazing. And I've seen it, Shani. I have seen it because we've tried to go out with her on Sankirtan. Remember, Nanila, in 1991, we came with Srila Gurudev to Srila Gurudev's Vyasa Puja in Dallas. First time we ever went out of our yatra and into such another atmosphere as the TKG, fortress, the wonderful temple Radhakalichanji. And there was the summer marathon, there was a Sankirtan group, and we were supposed to go to the airport where it was forbidden to distribute books, really. I mean, it was like so limited that it almost was forbidden. You could distribute it, books, but you had to stand to the wall and touch yourself with the body to the wall, and then you had to come and call people over, and then you can show the book. But we were not allowed to block the pathway, right? So Inanna stands with her toe touching the wall and like, hi, and people would just flock to her. To me, nobody came. One time he said, why you did so small, to me. And Nila, you should learn from her. And I was like almost crying, like I couldn't do it, how you were doing it. It was like you just, I don't know, wielding the weapons of the books. I mean, it's hard to describe, but very enthusiastic. That's definitely one of your forces. And from the beginning, not just for the books, but you started in the beginning with the painting distribution, right? That was for the funding of the temple, the Oklahoma farm, and the
Mhm.
remodeling of the temple. Was that it?
And the restaurant, right?
And the
The
rest,
three
right?
projects, yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah, it
I
was
was wondering
incredible. Mhm.
because Srila Gurudev, apparently, as far as I heard, he was kind of criticized because
Mhm.
he was first this Radha Damodar leader, books, books, books. Then he changed his policy and he was establishing the Grihasta community, right?
Mhm.
And all
Right.
funding all these projects and asking people to go and do paraphernalia. Can you
Right.
share something about that? Do you feel that he kind of changed also like inside, or how did it came across to you? Was it like
Okay.
did it feel transcendental, or I don't
Oh,
know,
yeah.
just prodding some
Sure.
things?
Yeah, when I joined, they were already doing the painting business. So he had gone from book distribution to paraphernalia.
Right.
And one of the reasons was because at one point in North America, they had a negative image from the book distribution, from the interactions with the devotees. People were criticizing, there was bad publicity because
Mm,
devotees were under pressure to raise money for all the projects and to maintain the temple. So when selling books, sometimes the transactions were not very transparent. They would like pressure people. They were pushy. The tactics were a little bit aggressive. So Gurudev could feel this, could see that it was not very productive, and it was negative of people criticizing. So he kind of put it on pause, and he had a vision. He felt that he wanted to preach in a grand scale, and he wanted to do it also to hire ranking persons like scholars and professors, and doing it in a way that they would be impressed. So he introduced this painting Sankirtan so we could raise money for all these projects. Like you said, the restaurant, which became #1 in the Southwest, it was first class. And also the temple, which was such a transformation. It was a basketball court. You could see when I joined, it was a green concrete floor with the rings, drawn on the ground. And
really?
now, if you see the pictures or you've been there, it's like a palace. It's just so beautiful with pillars and glass stained that actually Yashomatinandanak, I don't know if he's still here. I saw him earlier this morning on the Zoom, but he did a lot of work also, all the stained glass and beautiful work. How Gurudev was so intelligent, and he had a vision. He engaged all the devotees doing this artwork and this construction. And the whole thing is that it was the same mood, doing
Yeah.
paintings and doing books, which I did both. His mood was the same because he was preaching. The goal of
Right.
raising money was all for preaching. So it was not disconnected. It was, and then for us as Sankirtan devotees, while selling paintings, we had to also meditate and pray to get the results, to be able to sell the paintings, just as we did to sell the books. So it was really Sankirtan, whether it was paraphernalia or book distribution. And he had the general hat on both occasions. As when we were selling paintings, he would get very excited hearing the
Yeah.
results. We would have marathons. He would have, whenever we came back from selling paintings, he would have big feasts of spaghetti and gulab jamun balls, and we would have contests. Probably Chaitanya Chandra remembers, he would have different, the man would stand at the end of the prashan room and he would throw the gulab jamun. They had to catch it in the air, things like that. But he had so many ways to enthuse us, and through paintings it was the same, the same enthusiasm he had, and he brought all that enthusiasm and happiness and joy to engage the devotees from the Radha Damodar party. The same thing was in the Dallas community when I was experiencing going out on Sankirtan. He
Mm,
was
thank-
the best general.
that's general. I remember there was this really that was also pretty a breakthrough, I think. The Cotton Bowl Parade
Oh,
in
yeah.
1983 or 4 or something.
Right. Well,
When
actually,
he
Chaitanya Chandra, yeah, Chaitanya
really,
Chandra Prabhu should speak about that because weren't you, Prabhu, very instrumental in building the whole
Well,
Actually,
what
I
is
wasn't
that?
instrumental in building it, but I was
What
instrumental
is it?
in supporting the parade because Yasomati Nandana, Gopal, the whole crew that built the restaurant,
Yeah.
we bought these giant railroad ties and welded together this huge like parade float, and then they built on top of it these beautiful lotus seats for Radha and Krishna and the gopis, and then
Wow.
over the jeep that was pulling it, they built this beautiful swan. So I got to sit up there with Bhakta Sarangaswamy, or Saha Sarangaswamy, I forget his name, and Krishna Shakti's daughter. And and Prabhupada, the Prabhupada Murti, were up there on either side of Prabhupada. And it was so cold that it was like, it was at least, it could have been less than 30 degrees. It was really, really chilly. And the devotees,
Someone is
I remember
laughing.
Gopal was part of that, and the devotees would bring all this hot chocolate and spaghetti to feed everybody in these huge, like warehouse buildings at the fairgrounds. That everybody was building their floats for the parade, so that we would come and distribute prasadam to everybody. And all the people fell in love with the devotees because we were feeding everybody for free. So all the float builders and all the people, they loved us. But the organizers, they didn't like the Hare Krishnas. They were like heavy duty Christian people, and they didn't really like us. So it was this interesting dynamic that all the people that were building the floats loved us because we fed them in this freezing condition inside these buildings. And then we finally did the parade, and then ours was by far the most beautiful float in the whole parade. But they wouldn't give us first place, but they gave us a special side award called the Judges Special like
Right.
pick or something like that. And so I remember that. I got to sit up there on the float. And I remember Yaso and Radhanath were the drivers of the Jeep that was underneath. And they were suffocating because they built the swan like a balloon over the Jeep, and all the exhaust was inside the so they were like dying from the exhaust smoke of the Jeep.
My
And
God.
they had to punch holes in the back of the swan to not disrupt the gorgeous decorations, just so they could get some air in there to breathe. But it was a wonderful. I remember, I think it was Choda Haridas, who was one of our cooks, and Sita were Radha and Krishna, and then Nandini was one of the gopis, and I don't remember the rest of the ladies who were the gopis. But
Yashomatinandana is there. I think he wants to say something.
oh yeah,
I
well
see
he
him
was
doing
in
that.
there. He was in the center of the action there.
You're muted,
But
Yasho. You're muted.
Yasho, you can unmute yourself. Unmute. So we
Hare
can hear.
Krishna. Yes, that
Right.
was an amazing adventure. There's story after story there. Yeah, Gurudev called me down from Houston. I was making the stained glass windows, and he said, "You're the last one left because the Houston temple was in ruins." He said, "You have to go to Houston, but before you go, you need to build a float for the Cotton Bowl parade. How much will it cost?" But I don't know, Gurudev, $20,000. He called Padava Vijay into the room and said, "Give him the money." So the float ended up costing 12,000, and Gopal and I basically, what did I know about building a cotton bowl parade float? But Gurdev told me to do it, and voila, we built the most beautiful float ever built. I maxed every single inch. In fact, they told me the height was an inch. We clipped, just like everything else wasn't hard enough. On the way down that morning, we clipped a pole line and had to crawl up 38 feet in the air and fix the dome. And that was anyway, the personalities on the dome, the 16-piece rod, and you were on top, of course. And it was Rodnath alone inside, and my vent pipe wasn't adequate for that old Jeep. They stuck us between two marching bands so they couldn't hear us. And the Jeep wouldn't
Oh,
start, so the
really?
marching bands went off in the distance. And all of a sudden, there we are with no marching bands on either side of us. It was one Krishna miracle after one Krishna miracle. I could go on forever. And the
Amazing.
most funny story is the girl on the flying trapeze, because they won the award, that nice little high school group from Tennessee. And at the exact moment when it was all over and I'm there, sleepless for days, and she runs over to me and they're just wearing sparkles and throws her arms around me. She's trying to kiss me. I'm like, and you helped us win. We wouldn't have won without you. And I'm going, no, that's fine. Thank you very much. And I turn and there's Srila Gurudev standing right behind me,
Oh
laughing.
my
Big old-
God.
So, you can't make this stuff up.
No. Wow, yeah,
And
I didn't think I
the Shriners with the river of alcohol might be the best story of all, but I'll save that for another day. The tears of 20 clowns. The tears of 20 clowns.
Oh my God. Well, I don't know
Because
why I
they
came
hated
up.
us. They hated us, and they got their car on Saturday night. They're ready to party. They opened the door of their van, and 4 gallons of alcohol crashed onto the ground, and they're all standing around crying, no!
Oh. Well, I mean, I just thought I saw
I'll
some
leave now. Bye-bye. Hare Krishna.
No, thank you. You're really enlivening everything. The thing is, I saw there, of course, there's this BTG, kind of classic BTG, the Dallas Krishnas, the Texas Krishnas or something.
Right.
Yes. I
Texas.
think there is
The
a little
Texas
bit
Krishnas.
this, yeah, this whole vision, which was indeed, as you say, in Ranila, it was from a vision that Gurudev was like making strategic moves, like how to, as far as I understand, correct me if I'm wrong, how to become win the favor of people in general, how to again become appreciated,
Exactly.
after the crash of like the reputation because of the book distribution or who knows why. So
Oh,
he was
yeah.
building
Yeah,
up,
Just
and
quickly,
that was
quickly.
yeah.
That was my life's instruction from Srila
Oh,
Gurudev in my first
yeah.
meeting in 1979 was
Mhm.
be a Hare Krishna that doesn't scare the hell out of your parents.
Yeah. That
You
was in the
know,
deprogramming time.
I
Yes,
also
Emmanuel.
wanted to I also wanted to chime in on the on your original question of the transition between the book distribution and the paraphernalia sales, because
Mhm.
I was there doing the book distribution early, of course, in the 70s under Gurudev, and then in the airports in particular, we were distributing books, and the people obviously misunderstood us to a great degree, and the employees in the Dallas airport in particular, because we were here distributing books in the airport, they became really, really agitated, and they started interrupting our sales, and they had these little things called clickers, which
Mm.
made this really loud clicking noise, and they would stand around us, like 2 or 3 employees doing this noise, so we couldn't speak to the people even.
Wow.
So Gurudev came up with this strategy before we exited the airport that we should at least go in and try to patch things up a little bit to, create a better relationship. So what he organized is that Pashupati, his wife at the time, she was a really good baker, and she made these amazing strawberry samosas, these really huge samosas. They weren't like,
Yeah.
I forget her name, if it was Chintamani or if it was
Rukmini.
Rukmini.
Yeah, Rukmini.
So she whipped up these amazing strawberry samosas, and myself, Radha Gopinath, and Purna Chandra were the 3 persons designated to go and speak to all the employees at the airport. And I became the person who was actually the guy that met face to face all these employees at the airport. So they hated us so badly, but I had to go up to them and say, hey, my name is, Charles, and I had to make myself a human to them, And then what happened was after introducing myself and talking to them and kind of humanizing the whole thing, then I would give them one of these samosas. And they were so good. I mean, these were the best fruit samosas I've ever had. Almost. There's one that I've had that was better, that was from Lord Sringadev and Mayapur, but that's one other story. But anyway, they were so fantastic. So as we're distributing books, and we had to go to all these employees, and I just want to tell one little story about the Prashadam, and then I'll stop the story.
I
But
think
just
we
to
have
kind of,
really like, opened the TKG box, like we cannot
yeah.
stop. This is the problem.
So,
Okay,
so
Prabhu.
there was the manager of the Braniff Airlines, on the floor manager. He was this guy, I'm 6'2", and he was like 6'6". He came up to me and Radha Gopinath and broke up our sale. So then I had to like directly confront him. And he's this huge guy, right? Not fat, but just like a tall, big, huge guy with blonde hair. And so I can't remember his name now, but I met him and I made him shake hands and treat me as a human. And he was really big, and I gave him 2 of the samosas. So then a few minutes later, he let us go. He let us distribute books. But a few minutes later, he came driving by on one of those golf cart like people carriers that they use in the airports. And he looks at me and he sees me and he waves at me. And he goes, "Hey, hey, Charles." I'm like, "Yeah." And he goes, "Thank you so much. Those things were great." And he has this huge smile on his face, But soon after that, we got out of the airports. But we made an effort to try to, you know,
It's long-term vision.
pacify the people. And in
Thank
Kalachandji's restaurant, after we opened, Krishna Shakti, with her great influence of all the wealthy people that she was the hair designer for, all these really, really nice people would come to the restaurant. And this one lady in particular, they all came in Mercedes and big cars. They were all wealthy people. And this one lady came in, and I was giving tours of the temple because Gurudev and us, we all designed a tour of the temple so that people would have time to get a table. We would take them on tours so that a table would open up in the restaurant because it was so busy. So this one really nice lady comes in and she says, I used to really hate you, Hare Krishnas, because all I ever saw you doing was selling books in the airport and taking people's money. But she said, now that I see you here in your own environment, I love you people.
Wow.
So it was a really amazing vision that Gurudev had to try to, of course,
Yeah.
I want to give credit to the actual persons who were responsible for inspiring Gurudev to want to open the restaurant. And that is His Grace Rohini Sutta Prabhu. He was roommates with Sunanda downstairs in the dungeon in the Dallas temple. And he pitched the idea to Sunanda that we should start a restaurant because originally the restaurant was going to be a museum. That was the original idea. But Rohini Sutta came up with the idea that we should do a restaurant instead because he was a cook also. He and Sunanda were both cooks. He was the cook in the Chicago temple, and Sunanda was the Radha Damodar cook and other cooks and cooked for Prabhupada. So then Sunanda and he pitched it to Gurudev, and it didn't go through the first time. They had to repitch it and convince everybody that the best thing to do instead of a museum was a restaurant. So I wanted to give them the credit they're due, Rohini Sutta Prabhu, because I just met him a few months ago in San Antonio at Bhagavan Narada's Rath Yatra. And I asked him, so he again told me this story. And I was like, yeah, there's so many wonderful things that happen with the devotees to create Kalachandjis, and Yaso and the whole team built that beautiful place. That was a whole nother miracle, just them building it. They built it in 2 months. All that construction and all that beautiful finishing work, they did it all in 2 months, which was inconceivable. Anybody that knows construction knows you can't make something that beautiful that fast. And Gurudev designed it with Pashupati, and they traveled to India and Europe and all these places that had these gorgeous buildings and restaurants. And him and Pashupati, they came up with this beautiful Kalachandji's design. And that's why it turn out the way it did. Anyway, I just wanted to throw that in there about the book distribution because
Yeah.
we were
Yeah.
there in the tail end of the airport thing, but then we got back into the airports. Remember, Indra? We used to go back to the
Yeah.
airports.
Exactly.
And
Well,
my
yeah, that's
wife
what,
and
yeah,
my
no,
wife was also one of the
yeah.
book distributors, Neela Madhava. She's passed away almost 3 years ago. But she was right behind you. You were
Right.
like the top. And then
Mhm.
when John of Bahama's wife was there, she was right underneath you. But if she wasn't there, my wife was right underneath you. And my
Right.
wife was also a really convincing book distributor. She was also kind of like you, empowered to sell, you know? She
Yeah.
was really, really, and we used to do the Christmas marathon while you were out distributing books. We were doing it in the restaurant.
Right.
So her and I were taking care of all the customers, making friends with all these amazing people. And because she was such close friends with all the people that she was waiting tables on, that she would sit down with them during December and present our marathon to them in a customized way as a restaurant to allow them to do what you were doing, because you were getting people to sponsor books a lot, which was one of the reasons why you were able to excel everybody in the whole country, because you had the intelligence to
Mhm.
get donations from people to distribute more books. So she was
Yeah.
doing that in the restaurant, and everybody in the restaurant was so happy with her. But nobody gave less than $50. It was all
Right.
50 into the hundreds
Right.
that people would give her, and then I also wanted to remember when we used to do the Sunday feast in College Senjis,
Right.
and you
Yeah.
would come in and preach, all the preachers, you and Vinod, and we would all go and sit with the guests and cultivate the guests. It was a
It was wonderful.
$4 Sunday feast in College Senjis, specifically designed just for us to go in and preach. Remember how wonderful that was?
Yeah.
Anyway,
But it's
stop
good.
there.
That's so nice that you remember Nila Madhava, because her and you, Chaitanya Prabhu, you were so good at cultivating people, because you had this wonderful service at the restaurant. So you had people who you would meet again and again, and then you had home programs, and she was very, very good. And also, whenever new people came to the temple, I always remember Nila Madhava welcoming others. She was a preacher at heart, but she pleased Srila Gurudev very, very much. And
Yeah.
I know, thank you for sharing that story of the ending of the book distribution. But as you said, then we came back. It was kind of like sometimes in agriculture, you let the land rest, so that it will re-nourish. And because otherwise it's depleted otherwise. So the Sankirtan was like, Gurudev put it on pause. He had this genius idea to do like the restaurant. And as Chaitanya said, people were coming in buses and taking tours, people that maybe would have never come otherwise, and appreciating the devotees. That's already advancement, being able to have a positive impression and say nice things about the devotees. And the mayor came to visit the temple. The mayor went to the school, right? When you were in the Gurukul, we had scholars, we had professors coming, all because Gurudev presented this first class preaching environment, right? The restaurant and the temple room. And then
And
we
it
went
was
back on books, and the ground was fertile, and we did great. People had already good impressions. They liked the devotees. There was all positive publicity. So he
but
was
that
good
was
despite,
also, sorry, how
no,
you
no,
were.
despite the criticism. He knew what he was doing.
But
Yeah.
so he must have endured criticism from many places, God Brothers,
Right.
other, who knows, so many, because he knew before this is going to work, it will take some time. So he had to convince all the devotees that he was asking to help, and then he had to, tolerate or, defeat the criticism. But it didn't stop him. And I know also the neighborhood, because as I understand, the Dallas neighborhood there, Gurley Avenue, it was like low down. It was not really very, a posh, not at all. It was like,
No,
but also that I think was very smart, that Shri Gurudev knew that people are going to look at us. And if they
exactly.
see beautiful things, they will appreciate it. They see that you're taking care of a neighborhood, uplifting, making nice flower garden, painting everything, being nice to the neighbors, all that. It just elevates the whole neighborhood. And then what else can you do but at least be impressed, if not grateful?
And
Exactly.
now, of course, the neighborhood is actually really posh. I mean, there's no house
Yeah.
under $500,000. A few of the houses have gone above $1 million now in value.
No,
I mean, it's just
really?
amazing. It's just, it's become a posh neighborhood.
Yeah.
Gurudev's Leela is like unlimited. It's little like, Ananta Sesha speaking still Krishna's Leela. Gurudev's Leela
Yeah.
is becoming like that. One of the things is we wanted to recognize that we did say we'll allow questions from others also.
Yeah.
And, we've run pretty much 40 minutes over the time, but we'll continue.
Alright.
One of the things I wanted to say was that Kalachandji Prabhu, who is Gurudev's brother, is turning 70 this week, thanks to letting us
That's
know,
big.
Mother Shraddhanjali Mataji. And I'm wondering if
Yeah.
he's on the call, if he can just say something, ask, or whatever
Yeah.
you'd like. I mean, we'd like to recognize you now that you're turning 70 this week.
Haribol.
Well,
Are you
thank you.
there?
No, it's just you just hang around.
Right.
I have nothing to say other than it's just been fantastic listening, to these memories and stories. And as someone said, I could just listen to this all day. So I look forward to a year long of programs like this. It's just wonderful. Thanks so much.
Well, wishing you the greatest 70th, and we hope to see you for many decades after that.
Many more years.
Haribol.
Thank you.
Jai.
You look as young as ever.
Yes.
It's just wonderful to see you all, really. Thank you.
Thank you.
It's
Thank you.
rejuvenating.
I'm wondering if anybody else has any questions.
I wanted to thank Kalachandji for every year sending me a beautiful Christmas card from his family. It's always inspirational. Thanks.
I will accept thanks for my wife. The wonderful Shraddhanjali Dasi. I cannot take credit except for following up with her.
Are you there, Mother Shraddhanjali? Are you there?
She's here. She's here.
Loved by Gurudev.
Yes, Prabhu. It's so great to see you all.
Haribol.
I love you all so much.
Yay, Haribol.
Wonderful.
They're sitting side by side on my phone. Hare Krishna.
Mine too.
We're actually side by side.
Very nice. Very nice.
Yeah.
Anybody else in the group that we haven't heard from who'd like to ask a quick question or anything, so that
questions
we
in the
do allow
chat.
some time for others to speak as well?
Hey, Haribol, this is Krishna Kripa.
Hey, Hare Krishna.
Can I speak? Just something on the miracle of the restaurant up there. We were doing Sankirtan at that time too. And Gurudev said, look, I want to build this restaurant and we want to do it fast. Can the Sankirtan devotees please collect the money for this? So he said, what can we do? And we said, we just do it, whatever, and so he told the restaurant people, the Sankirtan devotees have agreed that they can make more money than you can spend. So the restaurant devotees making it, so everybody, they just did it. Whatever they wanted to do, we always somehow, by Krishna's mercy, always made enough money. They were never slowed down. And this is Gurudev. He had everybody doing everything, and it was just wonderful during those days. Anyway, Hare Krishna, thank you, everybody.
That restaurant now is taking care of the temple. More than 60% of the income of the temple is now coming from that one restaurant. So yes, at one time it was taking money, and now it's giving money. It's like amazing.
Yeah. So wonderful.
What a vision, huh? What a vision. We have some questions in the chats, I think.
We have some in the chats?
Yeah, let me see. This was here.
We covered all the other ones.
There was. I heard. Maybe they will send it to me personally.
Yes.
Yeah. Here, this Gauranga says how to get his bhajans on YouTube. What do you mean, Prabhu? Can you clarify? You want Gurudev's bhajans?
Listening to his songs, or you listening to his classes on YouTube?
So.
Both of them are available on YouTube.
Kirtans.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Okay.
And also TKG, right? TKG Tape Ministry has bhajans, like the Narottam Das Thakur songs are there.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yes. But
We
it's
can
a
post them
continuous.
on YouTube. I think it's a very good idea. What he's coming up with is a very good idea. We don't
Yeah.
normally post on YouTube so much about Gurudev singing, himself doing kirtan and dancing. I remember some very nice pastimes he had at Radhadesh and other places, right? Where he was dancing with Shivaram Maharaj and other, B.B. Govinda Maharaj and Radhanath Maharaj. Those just wonderful, wonderful. And then the big kirtan he did in Dallas during the GBC meetings. Very
You mean the
famous.
Surrender Loka?
I think we
Surrender
should
Loka?
post these on YouTube so that others get to see.
Yeah, Surrender Loka is in the TKG tape ministry. I know it's there.
Yeah. Okay, Siddharth Prabhu, you can arrange for that. Give us some
Yeah.
time. He's very active. He's
One of the
beautiful.
things that's very famous about Gurudev is his lectures that he gave in Fiji about the God, demigod, incarnation, etc. And when those get posted on YouTube, many people say they become devotees after hearing those lectures, seeing those videos. So I think Gauranga Prabhu just put us onto something very big here. We should maximally put all of our information about Gurudev on YouTube because a lot of people become devotees as a result. And that's what he really wanted. His heart was all about how somebody might become a devotee and dedicate their life to Srila Prabhupada's mission, in a way that really changed this world. And I think we're not really doing that as well as we should. I think we should now make an extra effort to reach out on YouTube with all of Gurudev's lectures, classes, kirtans, and whatever exchanges that he had with devotees, and himself speaking about Prabhupada. How many times we've heard Gurudev speak about Prabhupada and we become inspired what to speak of others who have never heard about Krishna consciousness becoming inspired. So let's do that. Thank you very much, Gauranga Prabhu. That was a very nice question.
Yeah, nice.
We should actually get together and have a formal discussion like this just on YouTube, where we do like maybe have just people just talking about Gurudev, maybe like a 2-hour limit, because you have these podcasts like Joe Rogan and different people who they go on for hours and millions of people watch. So I think that Krishna's pleased and Prabhupada's pleased when we glorify Tamal Krishna Goswami and the other devotees, so that if we actually attempt to actually do a nice glorification of Gurudev, it will be successful because Krishna will make it successful.
Are you going home? You're going to stay here.
Also, because people actually get to see how the Hare Krishna movement is so much relevant to life today from everybody. It's not just we're just a book distribution. We're a movement about taking care of people, and they can see the interactions between devotees. It makes us very real for the people of this world to join the movement and say, here's the movement that's very relevant today in these times
This is
of
the
conflict,
lifestyle.
doubts, everybody's so confused, everybody's so worried, and here's a movement that's like an oasis sitting in the desert of this world and ready to give so much love to everybody in this world. I think this is amazing. This will be really very good. Thank you.
Yeah, and it's very powerful to connect not just in our own yatra, but across the world, and come to this kind of similar frequency that is rare especially in this time, to find unity or at least connection. That is very rare and it is very required. Everyone is hankering for that. So thank you all for being here and contributing to
Especially
that.
also, one other thing is that right now there's a bunch of devotees who are saying really bad things about Gurudev and going online and broadcasting. If we provide what we are providing, I think people will see there's another side to the story, which is the real story, and that the story of being, of Gurudev being crucified like this is actually wrong, and it's nothing to do with what the reality is on the ground, like that. So I think that will really help in that way as well.
Yeah.
But yes, thank you. Prabhu, you want to wind this up, or would you like me to say something? Go ahead.
Well, I want to a little bit apologize to Indranila because you have so much more to share. I know that we had more questions, really interesting questions, and but we also want to respect people's times, time schedule, and we will be back. Yes, we will. We're gonna milk this year. We're gonna milk this Jubilee idea. Not that we
When is
made
the
it,
next session?
but it
And
is.
also Chaitanya Chandra, Prabhu, for what you weren't able to say also. You had so much prepared, and really sorry that,
Yeah.
time went out. But yeah, Maraji, you have some question? There's some Maraji who came on.
Radhakanta. Yes?
Radhakanta.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Nice to see you again, Radhakanta Prabhu.
This had been so inspiring. It's early morning here.
In
But
New
you're
Zealand,
all
yes.
right
It's
up
really
right now.
amazing timing, yeah.
And I hadn't slept all night, but this has been nectar.
I
Thank you.
know.
So
Thank you.
What's your question?
when is the next session?
Yeah, that's the right question.
We actually are going to be speaking with some of the devotees in Australia, especially one of the devotees actually with us here right now, and figure out a time that might be convenient to you all, so that we're doing it at a time that works for you all in a more convenient way, and then we'll decide. But there'll be one in the next month. This is the January one. There'll be one in February. The February one will be targeted to your group of people, your group of devotees.
The hemisphere.
Being convenient to them. Then we'll be in the middle of the morning watching you guys at midnight and 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning.
New Zealand is I think New Zealand is first, right ahead.
Yes, Fiji, New Zealand.
So
you're
which
the first, yeah.
which devotee you targeting by?
This is we actually had him online. He came in as OUD. His thing was OUD on this.
Who's that? OUD, yeah.
Yeah.
He put a message in the beginning.
Yes. Yes.
Where's
So,
that?
Anyway, can we figure this out later? Is that
yes,
possible?
go ahead. You go ahead. Yes.
I see a
Okay.
hand by a Gopi Schumacher. Do you have a question, Mata?
Haribol, I just wanted
Hare
to say
Krishna,
something.
Gopi. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Nityananda Prabhu, Mother Indranila, Chandra, Chaitanya Chandra Prabhu. I wanted to say it's just so enlivening to hear the lecture and all of your memories and the old Sankirtan days, and how the lecture was just like preach, preach, preach. It was so enlivening. Happy birthday to Kalachandji Prabhu and love to all. I just wanted to say thank you. Haribol Shamali.
Haribol Gopi. Thank you.
Thank you. So nice to hear from you, and good luck with all your preaching. You're doing lots of preaching yourself. Yes.
This session has inspired me so much.
It's Bhaja Govinda Prabhu, just so you know, in Sydney. Bhaja Govinda
Oh
Prabhu.
yeah, I know Bhaja Govinda very well.
Thank you. Thank you.
So winding up, excuse me, but we have to be a little bit, sane and not go on for 3 hours. I'm assuming here. I saw also in the chat, I saw that Shraddhanjali has recently retired, and I saw the pictures of the amazing cakes you received in your library. How many years have you been in the library?
I've been a librarian for 40 years and 32 years at St. Ambrose.
Wow.
The library has the largest Vaishnava collection and collection of Srila Prabhupada's books in the entire region.
Nice.
Okay, wonderful. So you put all of them there, I'm assuming. Amazing.
I was a theology librarian, so I could do that.
Just see how strategic, huh? It's another example of strategic preaching.
Yes, it was Srila Gurudev's vision. He said, go to this place, there are no devotees there, but just be who you are professionally, and just add Krishna. And it, it's not the typical kind of, devotee success, but we did have some impact, even a little tiny bit. So that's my life success.
After our first visit to Dallas, we so much wanted to move there. That's all we wanted to do. We loved it so much.
And one of you mute because you have echoing sounds.
Srila Gurudev said,
it's going to happen in there, two
don't
computers.
leave where you are. Don't move to Dallas. stay where you are. And it took years and years as different services started to open up that we understood the wisdom of his words. He also told us that if we moved to Dallas, we love everybody so much, we love devotees so much, it would be a little more challenging if we lived next door. And what he was so kind not to say out loud, but he very much communicated, was that we receive so much love from all of you and from devotees, and that if we live next door to you, that might not be so forthcoming either. So we thank him for both of those. It's so much has opened up and blossomed in these years. I mean, always we're like amazed at his foresight and wisdom on it.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful.
Please move to Dallas. We'll love you forever, even if you move to Dallas and live with us every day. We'll love you as much and more.
Wonderful. Thank you. So we wish you a beautiful and well-deserved retirement in which you can maximize whatever you want to do in your life for the pleasure of Guru and Krishna. So thank you so much for sharing that.
We want to thank all of the devotees who have actually come and joined us in this program. We will arrange more of these programs, and if you have any suggestions, please let us know how we might improve this. But we really wanted this to be a sangha of Gurudev's disciples and God brothers and God sisters, and just a churning love between us, and everybody speaking and saying things that actually encourage us and make us so happy that we came together in this lifetime, and that we'll join Gurudev in the spiritual world and continue forever, eternally, and never become separated again. So thank you all very, very much for joining us. We look forward to meeting you at the next program. We will announce it so that...
I personally feel 1 month is too far.
Okay.
I agree.
The recording of this meeting, actually, this meeting is simultaneously recorded on YouTube. On the it's already there supposedly with on Siddhartha Prabhu's channel. It's called Path of Bhakti, Tamal Krishna Goswami. So you should be able to see it already there, and that's the main source, I think, how we will distribute this recording. But we can discuss this further in the core team.
Dear Rati Manjari, Mataji, I feel this, honestly, this meeting once a month is too far, because that means only 12 meetings before Srila Gurudev's big day, not even 12, 6, which is not enough.
I appreciate your eagerness, and I actually agree with you. The thing is, though, maybe more initiatives will come from this. And if you have one, then please let us know. Like Nityananda Prabhu, you were saying before we close, that there are programs upcoming, right? Because this Friday and Saturday, depending on where you live, it is Srila Gurudev's Sannyas anniversary. And that will also be celebrated in different places in different ways. Dallas, I know you have a tradition to celebrate it in a certain way, and we have asked, please record it or let us allow us to take part in it. Maybe you can say some details if you have, Nityananda Prabhu.
Yes, it's happening at 1 o'clock this coming Friday, the 23rd, 1 o'clock Dallas time. And we'll arrange the Zoom so that we can have people join us by Zoom. But the other thing is, like you said, recording it so that we can also post it so others can see. And of course, then we have also Gurudev's Disappearance Festival coming up soon as well. And that'll happen around the
17th
world.
and 18th. February 17 and February 18.
So all these programs also add on, and these all should be recorded. And again, somehow or the other, an arrangement made so people from around the world can join the programs. Of course, the very big one coming up in Fiji during his Vyas Puja is also another one that, again, we'll announce closer to the time so that everybody can attend that one as well. But these got added into the 12 that we will be doing in this format.
I thought there's a big one in Dallas at the same time.
There will be one in Dallas. We decided not to make it a big one because we want to make sure that everybody goes to Fiji. But obviously, we will do one in Dallas because Dallas was Gurudev's headquarters, so we will do one in there.
Oh, that means we'll meet you there.
Well, let's
There
see.
is a Festival of Fiji. Festival of Fiji is going to be
That's the catch, Nityananda Prabhu.
Okay.
Festival of Fiji. I believe it's July the 2nd until
Yes.
July the 7th. Is that correct? Who is here from that area? Vajugovinda Prabhu, you still here? No. We will share the poster of it in the TKG Sangha. And yeah, I'm personally also hoping to be able to go there after 30 something years. So
Yes.
that will be amazing if somehow or other we can turn our lives and our wallets upside down and we can actually physically meet in this, divine place where Gurudev spent so much time and love and effort. And that we can actually meet in the Festival of Fiji and celebrate his 80th Vyasa Puja.
Just as well, you just said that because I was looking at coming to Dallas.
Okay. Let's see.
Well,
Which way it goes.
let's see how things develop. Everyone will do what they can. I'm
Right.
sure there will also be online, ways to participate in it or watch it afterwards. But nothing beats the real thing of being together and hugging and doing kirtan and feeding each other gulab jamuns and samosas and all the other wonderful prasadam we have heard of. So I am all bubbly and happy. Thank you so much for your wonderful association. This is the nectar of life.
Hare
So
Krishna, Indranila, Mani, Mani.
let us
Thank you.
offer our respectful
Make
obeisances to
one
all
little,
the
I wanted to make
Vaishnava.
one little suggestion.
What
Is
is
it
the
okay if I
suggestion?
make one little suggestion?
Go ahead.
Yes.
Because Indranili's daughter and Shamli and all the kids that Gurudev used to meet all the time when he would walk upstairs from class and give them all sweets. I think it'd be really nice just to have the kids, some of them get together with their remembrances of Gurudev.
Yes.
So that generation that has a connection to Gurudev can also be highlighted because many people don't know how wonderful his relationship with all the kids were.
Right.
Thank you very much. That's really good idea. Excellent idea.
Yeah.
Thank
You like it, Shamli?
I love that idea. Yes.
Okay. Start getting it, pitching it to your friends.
The word
and
out.
get
Yes.
together and making something pizzazz beautiful, and we'll definitely feature you in one of the 12 meetings.
Oh.
Yes. Thank you.
Okay.
So,
Thank you
all right,
again.
and that's Radha
Vancha
Gopinath,
Kalpa?
is it? Is it
Yeah.
Radha Gopinath? Yeah. Thank you for coming, Prabhu. Sorry if I got the names wrong. It's been too long.
Is
I
Radha
wanted to
Gopinath
offer.
Prabhu there?
Is it him? That's his name, right? Radha Gopinath, is that your name? Or is it Gopal? No, it's Gopal. Gopal. I mean Gopal. Sorry, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. So let us offer our respectful obeisances to all the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord, who just like desire trees, fulfill the desires of everyone, and
Their conditioned souls.
compassion for all of
Vancha
us.
Kalpa?
Jai, Vancha
Vancha
Kalpa
Kalpa Tarubhasya Kasnubhya Titanam Pavnebhyo Vaishnavya.
Ananta
Jai.
Koti Vaishnav Vrinda ki Jai.
Okay, good
Shri
night.
Gurudev
Tamal
ki
Krishna
jai.
Goswami ki Jai. Oh, thank you so much.
Hare
All
Krishna.
glories.
Hare
Oh,
Krishna.
Premananda, Haribo.
Gopananda. Hare Krishna.
Jai.
Jai.
Hare Krishna, everyone.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Haribo,
Krishna.
Haribo.